Okay. I know you're seeing like the perfect guy can be a murderer in disguise. And so there's a woman, a young African American woman, who is going to share her experience in dating this so called perfect guy. And she got him off the dating app, and she's going to share her experience. And this is the thing that happens all too common nowadays with young women who are looking for this so-called commercial that will go into this story. And so it's in a commercial mode right now. So I just want to say that this is really sad because the dating app murder suspect seemed like the perfect dream guy at first, the ex-girlfriend says. And so after this commercial, she's going to express to you or show you what she experienced. And it'll come up after this commercial. It's just, you got to really be careful. It's very scary nowadays. You never know what you're going to get. And so basically, you have you could be putting yourself at risk.
Now for that frightening story from a woman who says she dated a self-proclaimed serial killer. The man accused of using dating sites to prey on and attack women. Now one is coming forward saying she narrowly avoided the same fate. Ariel Reshef is here with that story. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Robin. Zanea Barney says she thought she had met her dream guy on a dating app until their relationship took a very dark and violent turn. Now she's speaking out to warn others, saying her story could happen to anyone looking for love online. As authorities look into that man's claims, he's killed several women.
I relive it every day, you know.
It was the romance. 26-year-old mom speaking out to ABC News about her tumultuous relationship with 27 a woman and sexually assaulting at least 2 others, all of whom he allegedly met online.
I felt guilty in the beginning because I kept feeling like, how can I not see the signs?
Barney says the relationship started out promising. You said he almost seemed like the dream guy.
We talked about everything. He started to become our best friend in so little time.
But months later, a red flag as she intercepted a phone call from another woman.
And I said, no, you should have been honest with me. I should have to find out like this.
She broke it off. She claims Drayton persisted, sleeping outside her home, buying her gifts, begging for her forgiveness. Until last month, when he told her he was heading to California. She agreed to meet him, and he asked her to drive to a nearby park.
He was like, so you really don't see us getting back together? I was like, no. And that's when he just looked at me in the car and then jumped across, had both of his knees on top of my knees while my seatbelt was still on. And my car was, he somehow pushed my gear into park. And I'm sitting here, he got two of his hands, stuck his whole thumb in my throat. And that's why I still have the mark to this day. He kept his thumb there and was like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you.
At some point, did you think this is it?
When he was choking me, I can't even describe the feeling. That's when I kept feeling like this is it.
3 workmen in the park noticing Barney was in distress.
The guys that came to the scene, they called the police. If those 3 men didn't appear, I wouldn't be here.
Drayton was eventually arrested for attempted strangulation and slashing Barney's tires, but a judge later granted his release. Weeks later, Drayton, a fugitive, wanted by the NYPD for the murder of 29-year-old nurse Samantha Stewart and the rape of a 23-year-old woman. A fugitive task force and Los Angeles police eventually arresting him last week in a North Hollywood hotel, where where they say he had raped and attempted to kill a woman he was holding hostage. He pleaded not guilty to those charges. After his arrest, Drayton claimed he had committed as many as 7 murders, though authorities have not been able to verify the crimes ever occurred. Has this changed your outlook on those online dating apps?
Completely. I deleted every single one, and it's just so scary because you just never know who somebody is at all.
And ABC News has learned Drayton was convicted in the past of 5 felonies in Connecticut, including harassment and strangulation. Now, a lot of people are wondering why a judge allowed his release after that assault on Nevaeh Barney. Well, the Nassau County Court tells ABC News there was no way the judge could have known, and the judge didn't know there was an out-of-state criminal history. Authorities say that once he's extradited here to New York, he will face murder charges, guys.
My gosh. And I got to tell you, the advice that you gave yesterday, those suggestions about what to do, because a lot of people are on these apps, I heard from a lot of people that were very thankful about that.
Well, I'm glad it's helping.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Ariel.
Okay, so that's another story. So I just thought that that was important. So this is him pictured here. And so it's basically what she said in the video. It says the New York City woman who dated 27-year-old suspect murderer, whom police believed used the dating apps to target his victims, said that he seemed like this dream guy at first, but the facade eventually faded when he allegedly attacked her 6 months later. So Zainea Barney, 26 years of age, said that she began interacting with Daniel Drayton last November after he messaged her on an online dating and matchmaking application for 2 days straight. Okay, so Barney wasn't looking for love at the time. So she said that she ignored the messages at first, but she eventually replied, and it was just a conversation, you know, just the talk here and there. So this is him. This is Barney, and this is Daniel Drayton, where they were soon texting every day, and then 3 weeks later, their conversation evolved into phone calls, and she said at the time she had found him to be a real good guy, so she thought, of course, with his head on his shoulders. So he knew what to say and how to say it and how to make her convinced that he was this really good, great guy to be with. And he turned out to be a murderer. And so that's what I've said in previous videos. I just didn't know, I didn't have the visuals to bring it out, but this is visual enough, isn't it? And proof enough right here. And so we would talk all night and all day, regular conversation. She said, no red flags, nothing. And just, you know, the perfect guy. So some people, like I said, are really good at lying, really good at convincing you they're this all perfect type of person to be with, and that you should, you know, pretty much concern yourself with them. And then you find out they have another personality entirely that you don't see it coming. And so a lot of people assume that you can just meet somebody on these dating apps and on these websites and stuff. There's not only the dating apps, there's websites out there where you can log in and meet people. And you don't know if the person is a murderer, if they're a maniac, if they're somebody that's driven to kill women, or if they have a certain vendetta. You notice all his victims are Black females, and they all seem to be, you know, Black, brown-skinned women, most of them at least. I don't know who the other women were. He might have some other choice of females, but most of them, it seems like they've been African, you know, women. And so we would talk all night and all day, regular conversation. So she said she didn't have any red flags. So this is where I've been saying, you know, some people are able to finagle and talk their way, and they can lie. There are good liars out there. And so there's this woman, I'm gonna add a little bit of my stuff in here. There's this woman at where I've worked, and she thinks that everybody's gonna meet someone and find someone. That's not, it's not like, you know, that's not entirely true. You have to be careful. She's been married for, this lady, I think she's been married for 30 some odd years. And so she's been out of the dating pool for a long time. And so she doesn't know what kind of dangers are out there, apparently. And so it's not as easy as you think. It's not like you can, it's not like before where you can meet someone and run into someone and boom. It might have used to been like that, and it might used to be easier. And so there's a lot going on now. People will date you because, they're looking for people of a certain, not only your looks, maybe what you believe in, your political adventures, your education. You got people who will date people because of their credit score. Believe it or not, I know you're gonna laugh at some of this stuff. You got people who date people because whether they have kids or don't have kids, can they have kids? Can they not have kids? What kind of car they're driving is a symbol that they're trying to be productive in life. And some people will prey on people like that because they're not productive. They're not working. They don't look for a job. They don't pursue a career or any goals. They just want somebody to pretty much siphon money out of, or they want to use you, or they want to lay up on you, and they want to abuse you, and then they want to, downgrade you, downplay you because they're not doing well in their lives. And so they pretty much look to you as a meal ticket. And then there's some, and they do this a lot too. A lot of this I've seen personally. I've seen it happen a lot in the Black communities, where Black women, they'll go to school and go to college and get education, and they'll try to pursue careers or jobs. And then there's some guys that will prey upon them because they see them as a meal ticket, and it's a place to stay, if at best. She may not be wealthy, but she's able to, keep a place and a roof over her head and food to eat. And so he's, just pretty much a slow dragger, and he'll, take advantage of that situation. And that's a free place to stay and free food to eat. And then he can pretty much dictate to her. He can be like a little mini Trump, and dictate to her, how she should live her life, and then take all of her money and invest it in him when he's not even pursuing a career, doing anything for his life. And so you've got situations like that. And you've got women who they are left with children, and they're, they've been productive in their lives, and then they're, they live pretty much, the best way they can. And then they're looking for, maybe a relationship or companionship, and they run into somebody like this. And unbeknownst to them, they don't realize his past, that he has a history of murdering women. And so there's a different kinds of scenarios, out there. And so some women are very vulnerable to this because they might be looking for love or companionship, or maybe they're looking for somebody who maybe he can be a great stepdad. It could be a lot of things. And then she ends up falling victim to this. So he carried himself well in conversations, of course. And so she said this. And so like he showed that he was very interested in what you talked about and what you had going on with your life. And women love that. They love it when you are listening to them, because women aren't listened to a lot of times, and what they feel is not important. So what Barney had or was perceived as interest later translated into what she felt was him pretending to have similarities with her. So which is what kept the conversation going. So he actually listened to her, and then he said whatever she liked, he liked. And so it was a delight to talk to him at the time. And Barney said, so at first, the first time the pair met in person, they stayed in a hotel together, but slept in separate beds, Barney said. That night, they watched movies and they joked around with each other. They had a good old time. So she thought he was the best guy. So Barney and Drayton began seeing each other every day. And she said, whether it be a walk in the park or going out for a meal, they were together and they were dating. It seemed like love, I guess. But there was not a day that they didn't see each other. And so he paid a lot of attention to her. He gave her his time and energy. And you would think that would classify as being a great guy. But Barney goes on to say that there was not a day that they wouldn't see each other. So Barney said the relationship kept going forward in a positive direction, but she noticed something amiss when Drayton was driving her car and she answered a call on the phone from a woman named Cherry. And Barney says that the woman told her that she had met Drayton on a dating app. According to Barney, the woman said that she and Drayton were just friends. But Barney said that he had never mentioned that he had a girlfriend already. So Barney demanded Drayton to pull over and get out of the car, causing him to plead with her, telling her that the woman was nothing but a conversation, she said. But Barney, she says that she drove away, telling Drayton that while he should have been honest with her, they could remain friends since Drayton was in New York and he was new to New York and in that area. So offering him with help looking for a job. So Barney's son was in the back seat of the car at the time, she said. And after that, the relationship spiraled out of control. So Barney said she began to feel threatened in the early June months. And she said that Drayton would allegedly sleep outside of her home waiting for her and begging her to take him back. And so when she would ask him to leave, he then proceeded to take my landlord's ladder and place it in the hallway and place it next to the window so he could climb up, Barney said, adding that her son was in the room at the time. And that's when I knew he has to go. So he really was persistent. He was starting to get really crazy with her. And so during their final encounter, Drayton allegedly strangled Barney, she said. That day, Drayton began blowing up Barney's phone. About 6 a.m. in the morning, she said. Around 2 hours later, when she finally picked up the phone, Barney, she says, that he asked if he could see her before he went to California for a job. Okay, so after the pair went to Chipotle together, Barney said that Drayton told her that he had wanted to spend the rest of his days with her. So Barney said she informed him that she had things to do and asked Drayton where she should drop him off. So once they got to the park, Drayton requested to go. And then Barney says that Barney said that he asked her if she could see them getting back together. So that's when the chaos unfolded. And so she probably turned him down. She says, I was like, no. Uh-oh, what did you do that for? Don't say no to this guy. But she had to. And so Barney said, I said no. So I said, I told you this is over and over. Okay. And over it is. It's over and over again. I told you no. So it's not like I led you on. I'm doing the right thing. I told you, like, I just don't want to be with you at this point no more. So she knew something was going on. She had a gut feeling that he was changing. His mood was changing. He wasn't really living up to the expectation that he was trying to make himself seem to be or appear to be. So she started wanting a way out, and she told him no, but he didn't receive it well, and that's when the chaos unfolded. So I just don't have the time for the little games, so let's just separate and be friends, and we'll hang out from time to time, which she probably didn't want to do that because she was getting scared of him. So Drayton then got quiet before saying okay and exiting the car or exiting the car. I'm getting tongue-tied and dry mouth. So Barney said before he exited the car, he then began digging in his pockets before he allegedly lunged at her. Okay. And then she said that, like on the video, she said that he started harassing her, and then he started to threaten her life. So, and this is when he just looked at me in the car and then jumped across, and both of his knees on top of my knees, and the seatbelt was on her still. And she added that Drayton somehow pushed her gear into park and he attempted to strangle her. And so Barney claims that Drayton told her over and over again, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And so she's very lucky. This lady is very lucky that she got away with her life. So Barney said that she went into survivor mode before clicking the button and releasing her seatbelt and opened the driver's side of the door. And Drayton then allegedly took one hand off of her neck in attempt to close the door. But Barney said that she had threw herself outside of the car. So Drayton then allegedly hopped outside the car of the passenger side, and Barney said before Drayton could get to her, 3 factory men approached her. He was going to kill her, okay, asking if she was okay. So the workers then chased Drayton off after he kept charging towards her. So Barney said, so Drayton's last words to her was, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, she alleged. So police then arrived on the scene and saw that Barney had swelling on her neck. And she said that it was visual, of course, because he had pressed his thumb down in there. So she says that she refused the medical attention. And this is what Black women will do. They will keep quiet. They won't say anything. They're afraid, and they won't tell anybody. And see, now she's just now coming out. We will keep quiet. We won't say anything. We keep it to ourselves because we're always blamed, or we're always looked at as it's our fault why it happened. And so a lot of times we won't say nothing. We'll defend, we'll defend ourselves by we're protecting ourselves, but in a way it looks like we're defending these predators, but we're really not. But it's fear. It's fear. And so when she heard those words, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, she was afraid to say anything. But when she saw these stories come out and she recognized them, that's when she spoke out. You notice that? And so the police then arrived on the scene and saw Barney's swelling neck, she said. And then she said that she refused the medical attention, telling officers she was just wanted to get to her son at the daycare, but let them photograph her injuries and write a report. And so after picking her son up, the police had escorted Barney home so she could pick up some of the belongings and drive to a friend's house where she felt it was safe, because she was scared that he was looking for her. So a location that Drayton didn't know about, she said. So Barney said that she still has the mark on her throat from where he had allegedly dug his thumb into her throat. And so Barney claims that every day after that, Drayton would call her and facilitating between apologizing. He would always say that he was apologetic and allegedly threaten her. And he would also threaten her in voicemails. You kept seeing different personalities through the voicemails, she said. So police arrested and jailed Drayton days after he allegedly assaulted Barney, and she said that she didn't know that he had been released from jail in New York until last week, when the NYPD announced that he had been arrested on different charges in California and was a suspect in a murder of a nurse in Queens, New York. So Barney says no one at the police department or the district attorney office reached out to let her know that Drayton had been released. Okay, so he could have came looking for her. She could have been one of the another victim. So then she twice, actually, when it initially happened with her, and then when they released him from the prison, from the jail, actually. And so the NYPD did not immediately respond to ABC News' request for comment on Barney's case. So Drayton, who is New Haven, Connecticut, she is from there, he is from there. Drayton's from New Haven, Connecticut, and he was arrested in LA, which is out here, on July 24th for allegedly assaulting and trying to kill a woman there. And NYPD officials announced after the arrest. So he was apprehended in North Hollywood, which is not that far from, my neck of the woods. And so I see a lot of people dating and stuff like that, and they go out into areas like that, and they're with guys like this, and they think it's safe. And so allegedly, this is the guy. He has strangled and sexually assaulted a 26-year-old woman who refused to let leave after a date, according to the LA District Attorney's Office. So this is him pictured here again. So he had been wanted in New York after the suspect in the murder of the nurse who was found in her home in early July, the NYPD said. So the common denominator in these cases, one being a murder and one being a rape, is dating websites. Okay, so on these dating websites, y'all, be careful, because they are on there. Those are havens for people like him. He's not the only one. There are many of them that they use these sites so they can meet women. And see what she said, he seemed like the perfect guy. He said all the right things she wanted to hear. He's attractively, he's not a bad looking guy. He's just his behavior and his mannerisms and his motives are what is makes him a creep and scary. And so if you look at him, you would think, oh, he's a young guy. He looked like he's nice. He's got a head on his shoulder. He talks well. He likes what you're talking about. He's young, and he actually fits his picture profile. He really looks like that when you meet him in person, but you don't know his personality and what he's going to do to you if you say no to him, young ladies. And so this is what happened. So in California, Drayton was charged with attempted murder, forcible rape, sexual penetration by foreign objects, and false imprisonment. Okay, Los Angeles prosecutor said his bail was set to $1.25 million. Since the police custody, Drayton has claimed to have murdered up to 7 women nationwide, all of whom he said he met on social media apps. Whoa. All you women looking for love out there. Drayton has claimed that 3 of the murders took place in New York, and the police sources said although no evidence was emerged to validate Drayton's claim, we know what happened. Wow. This is him here. It's very scary. So be careful. And this is not to say that, these people can be any background, any race, any nationality. Okay, this happened to be a black guy, but there are guys that are white, there are guys that are Asian, there are guys that are Hispanic that do the same things on these websites. They know women want a relationship. They're vulnerable. If they're a rapist, they're a murderer, they are coming for you. They use these websites so that they can come for you. And so you have to be very discerning. But this lady said that he didn't throw up no red flags. So, they've gotten really clever, ladies. They know no red flags, nothing. She said his conversation was, they would talk all day, all night. He was the perfect guy. So you have to be careful out there. You don't know what you're getting into. You really don't. So it's not what you think it is. So I'm going to let this video go. You just got to be aware of your surroundings, aware of who you're with. And these people are not who they say they are. There could be a hidden agenda. There's a hidden agenda with everything, right? A hidden agenda with religion, a hidden agenda with the government, what people are doing in there, a hidden agenda with some of these groups, these little groups that say they don't want to help people, and you find out they're really in it for the money. And some of these little groups are not what they say they are. And there's a hidden agenda even in the dating world, in the dating pool scene. Boy, I'm telling you, it's all about what people want, self-gratification. And if they don't get what they want, you could die in the end, literally, in this case. That being said, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening.